right here on WCHB AM 1340, the voice of the church.
We speak life. WCHB AM 1340, the voice of the church.
The following program has been paid for by the Courageous Hour.
All things are possible to them that believe. God has already given you the power to get what you need. So be strong, be courageous.
I love this song.
God is with you. This is the Courageous Hour with your host, Keith D. Williams, former Wayne County Commissioner. Listen and be inspired on the Courageous Hour on Glory 1340.
This is my season for grace, for favor. This is my season to be what I have sown. Will you raise your hand and say, I've got a seed in the ground? Come on, open your mouth. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Loud as the rolling sea. God of all weary years. God of our sight.
Okay.
All right, Malik, you want to count us in? Malik, we ready to go?
You don't hear you.
I'm typing it. Malik, we ready to come back? Okay, we're still all right. We just went live, Keith.
Good evening. This is Keith Williams with the trio, Laura, Steve, and Dorma. And we've been together how many years? We're in a new year. We're in a new year. And I was just thinking about this, Laura, and the folks. This is what we call Courageous Family Hour.
I love it.
Amen.
You changed it again. It's a new year, a new name.
A Courageous Family Hour.
I love
this
it.
Is about talking about things that are germane to the Black family, and how do we take our conversations and improve some lives of somebody else's families. Okay,
that's what we
and
do.
And that's what we do. Our conversations throughout the years been not so political, but had a political twinge to it. But more important, we was getting the message out. So this year, I wanted, I listen to a lot of talk shows and things like that. They're always complaining what has happened to us. I want to find solutions for us so we can take care of all of us.
Amen.
And so,
I like that too.
And so the family hour, the Courageous Family Hour, you may get a little bit about marriage. You may get a little bit about taxes. You may get a little bit about income, but you're also gonna get a little bit about Black history.
Yes,
and
sir.
all those things that are germane to the uplifting of our race. And so, you know, Courageous Hour has been brought to you by Laura.
We've got a plethora of sponsors, and we are still so overly elated and excited that they are still excited about what it is that we're doing, even as we reprogram and retool. It is so important that people are in lock with your vision. They believe in what it is that Courageous Sports Academy is doing, what the Courageous Hour is about, what this Courageous Family Connection is about. Thank you so much, Continental Foods, for being there, always being there. You've been a strong, significant partner to the Courageous family. Thank you, Wayne State University. I mean, there is no replacement for Wayne State University. Your facilities, your infrastructure, your collaboration. Thank you so much for what it is that you do. For what was Chemical Bank, which is now TCF, thank you for your support. Ralph Wilson Foundation, thank you for your support. Thank you, St. Joseph Mercy Hospital, for supporting us. You know, we have so many sponsors, but the ones that I think are near and dear to our heart are the ones who believe in what it is that we do. They don't come temporarily. They're with us all the way. But, you know, bring us what you got. You want to volunteer, you want to participate. Great opportunity to find out how this year you can make an impact. This year should be impactful. Try to do something, put your money where your mouth is. Try to help elevate some of the kids or students from the city of Detroit. If you want to do that, call Keith Williams at 313-215-4121. Again, his number, and it's his cell number. You can text him, 313-215-4121. Nobody better ever put my cell phone out there like that. I will have a fit. But Keith is available. He is a people's servant. Keith is a people servant. He's been on the people side of things for so long. He even have jobs for you. He even has jobs for you over at the sheriff's department. Keith, tell them about those jobs.
Well, we are, you know, we are 200 jobs short in Wayne County Sheriff's Office. And this is the criterion. You got to be 18 years old with a high school diploma or GED. We don't discriminate. We take from 18 to 65. You can pass the physical test and the personality test. But more importantly, you can't have a felony. You got to have a valid driver's license. You got to have good eyesight. And you got to be a Michigan citizen upon hiring. If you meet all those criteria, the job starts off at $36,000, 401k, tuition reimbursement, health insurance, eye and dental, and a plethora of other good things that can elevate your life. This is not about a job, it's about a career. And so if you meet all those standards and those criteria, call me at 313-657-8962.
Well, you know, Keith, we had a lot of stuff happening in the news lately. I want to hear from Steve on his inspirational moment, because we need an uplifting, Steve. We need an uplift. We need an uplift. It's the new year. We need to get our minds right, our spiritual space right. But I learned something today, and I don't know if you guys heard this, but how long has the auto show? How long have we had the Detroit Auto Show? How long has that been in place? If you guys...
I was in single digit dress sizes.
Shut up, Dorma.
She is right about that.
I remember my daddy taking us when I was a little girl.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. So check this out. This is the week that we would be looking at the auto show being in place right now. All this distraction causes us to be a little bit off schedule. But I learned today, Linda, that the auto show that moved from January, that was going to move to the summer, has moved out of the city and will be in Pontiac. It's going to be rebranded as Motor Bella.
Wow.
You know what? It's going to be at the M1 Concourse, because they moved it last year and they wanted to move it so it could be in June, and they would, because inevitably, whenever we had the auto show, week before, we had the worst weather of the winter. So you had preview night and everybody's trying to be cute and freezing that.
and hoping the people mover acted right.
Right, and hoping the people mover acted right, and you couldn't make the parties because you were cold.
Yeah.
Okay, so they were going to move it to June, but they don't have, if they're moving it, is it the same auto show, or is it that crap that was in Novi?
So check it out. It's called the Motor Bella. So we're learning or hearing that we may not have a actual auto show. So you historians, you Detroit historians, check it on out.
I'm going to go, yeah, because there's only been one, I'm going to say a couple of years they didn't have it.
I've never remembered not having an auto show.
But then they brought it back. And every time they've had a discussion about not having it here, I'm like, there's less automotive manufacturing in Pontiac than's ever been. I mean, wait a minute, Pontiac used to be in Pontiac.
Yes.
Pontiac at the M1 concourse.
So what's real cool about this is I believe at the top of the hour, Keith has a conversation about Black folk, and it's easier probably to do business. You know, it might be easier for us to participate. But guys, have you heard or did you hear that there's going to be a Black stock exchange?
I heard that.
How did that pass me?
Yeah, because you were busy helping us.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
A Black stock exchange, guys.
Yeah. Well, you will be in control, Miss Laura. We're not worried.
Well, I ain't trying to be in control. I just want to know how it performs. Because hold on, wait a minute.
You know what? This is interesting. I'm just looking at this.
Which one you looking at?
An 87-acre playground for auto enthusiasts. In other words, this isn't really an auto show like the auto show. This is like an auto show for people who have a bunch of money.
Yeah, it's gonna be more techie, and they said you can
touch
because
you know
you can get in
the M1 concourse actually has car condos.
Oh wow!
For people who have the show cars,
okay,
purchased car condos, and they can actually drive it around the track. It's on the site of the old Pontiac Motors.
What's that, Linda? Come on, stop it.
The plant.
Pontiac, okay, you know, the original Pontiac Motors plant that was on Woodward.
Way back in 1907. You better stop.
That was called Wide Track Drive. Remember?
Yes.
Wide Track Drive.
We need our history. We need our history. But look, I want to say that last week I told you guys about a grant that's coming out. They tried to censor me, but I had already told them that it's too late. I already told everybody that I know, and I put it on the radio show, so you can't take it from me now. If you haven't seen it, Detroit Means Business. Detroit Means Business will make the link go live. Facebook. Check them out on Facebook. Detroit Means Business. We'll put a live link to the Michigan Strategic Funds grant that's coming out. They've changed the date from the 14th to the 19th. It is still only going to be open for a matter of days. It is not going to be open for 30 days, 3 weeks, 7 days. It's like less than 5. So Detroit Means Business, grants given out in $15,000 increments. Please.
And it is only for businesses that have to have gatherings, have people, etc. Okay.
That's right. This is the grant that says it's in trying to help the people that's really kind of like feeling like they never had a chance to ever recoup any of their lost income because of the shuttering or social distancing requirements. Mm-hmm. So if you were a church, a bowling alley, even a sports place like the Courageous Sports Academy, if you couldn't have all the number of people you would normally have in there, and you can prove that your revenue was down at least a week between December 9th and December 20th, you qualify for this grant. It's a $15,000 grant. It's not a loan. Check it out on Detroit Means Business. They're going to put it on their Facebook account. I will try to make sure that I make it public on my own, but I'm not facilitating or monitoring that grant. I want to make sure that you guys all know about it. Mr. Elam, you got a courageous
I got an
inspirational moment for Courageous.
Yes, I do want to say good evening, everyone. Today is January the 13th. Man, God's so good that we able to even see this.
Yes.
So once again, I'm loving Miles Monroe, digging deeper into it. And what this is, the title of this is Living with Purpose. And this one is, you can do all things. So this is coming out of Philippians chapter 4, verse 13. I can do everything through him who gives me strength. The Apostle Paul, when looking back over the years in the Lord's service, stated that he could do all things through Christ who strengthens him. The Greek terminology for strengthening does not mean that we are weak and God comes to prop us up, but Paul's word literally means God who continues to infuse me with the ability. Thus, Paul is saying I can do all things through the potential of Christ who infuses me with the ability to do all things. The strength is not the strength that comes once in a while, but it is continually the ability that is infused into us because we are connected to Christ. Thus, our potential is not limited to doing some of the things God asks us to do, but it is therefore doing all the things that he asks us to do. Whatever we believe and desire, as long as it's done with God, it will come to fruition. We can do this because the ability to do so is already deposited in us. The basis for the deposit of God's ability goes back to God's word in creation. God is the source of all potential because everything was in God. He created everything with potential and gave it the ability to fulfill itself. The potential God gave is related to the source from which he took the thing that made us us. Thus, your potential is great as God's potential, because when God wanted you, he spoke into himself. He pulled you out, just as he did the plants and the animals. God spoke to the ground, and there was the plants. He spoke to the animals, and there we have the different species. He wanted human beings. God spoke to himself, and out of God came you. Thus, the limit of your potential is God. So right now, as we stand on the brink of what they are calling the calamity, understand that he is the one that we must focus on, not at that capital with an O. I learned that lesson too, and I've been in education a long time. The capital with an O is the building. The one with
Yes.
the one with the A is when you want to capitalize your letters. So understand we're going to do everything with God's potential. I'm looking forward to the Courageous Games this year. I'm looking forward to us expanding and growing. And I'm looking forward to taking advantage of all the grants that are available because he said, go get them. And that's what I'm here for. Amen.
Can I add something to that, Steve? And
yeah, go ahead,
Laura,
brother.
We, January, we always used to do the Martin Luther King baseball camp. We can't do that now. But I have talked to Wayne State. Starting after April, we're going to do the track meet.
Okay.
Then in June 19th, we're going to do a Juneteenth celebration at our complex. And then July I think it's July 14th, we're doing the Courageous Games that whole weekend. Then August, the first Saturday in August, we're gonna do Soul Day.
Life, y'all, life.
Yeah.
2021, we're back.
We're gonna do all those things, and we're more into programming and putting things together. And I just want to say this: I've been watching. I get up about 2 or 3 o'clock. I can't sleep after that because all this stuff is going on and all the negativity and my sister, my family, and all this. But I watch CNBC Business. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And that guy, I've been watching Shark Tank a lot, and so Sunday they did Nashville. Nashville is growing immensely, and they have taken what they do good best. And everybody's feeding and eating off of the country music and the bars, the restaurants, all of that. They have created a wonderful synergy about Nashville. And so last night, what's the guy on the bill? He goes around and helps people.
Marcus Lemonis.
Marcus, okay. Last night he did Little Havana.
The Prophet. Yes.
The Prophet. He did Little Havana. All those Cubans, they vote Republican. They all came from Cuba, but they controlled the marketing, the economic infrastructure of their community.
Yes, they did.
And I was so impressed with that. Okay. And so at one time in Detroit, we had Black Bottom. That was our commerce. Now we got Detroit. We 85% of Detroit. And what is our brand?
Our economic percentage of wealth. Marginal.
What is our economic activity that deals
I'm
in
going to
culture.
put it this way.
Let me finish. Dealing in culture. We used to have music, the Motown sound. We used to have everything that went on, that the Motown, everything from a business stand derived from the from Motown, like Don Cornelius and Soul Train. You had Johnson Products. You had all of that. And I just yearn for that once again. So I want to be with Soul Day and all the activities we're gonna do. I want to drive festivals and all that other stuff. So I want us to be a part of the revitalization of festivals and soul music and all of that. And so we can start creating some economic activities for ourselves. So I'm going to segue and let y'all
start
talk.
selling some tables right now for that Soul Day in August. Yeah.
Yes.
So there's also United Sound Systems, but I'm going to say, here's a couple of things where I go with that. Some of us got too fancy and decided we were too fancy for the old school stuff. I mean, a lot of us don't even go to the Black church anymore because we're Christian with a big C.
I haven't heard that one, Linda.
I'm just saying.
And that.
So look at, how many, who does your nails and why?
I do.
No, for those, for those of us who get our nails done and why. For some of us, not so much hair, because, sister's still real particular about the hair. The hair always gets you. Men are more loyal to their barbers because the barbershop serves, some of us have gotten so fancy, we think that we have business and we don't want anybody in it, not understanding in Detroit, you have no business.
Amen.
So when we talk about what Keith is talking about, Mr. Williams, that's a wonderful thing, but it starts with where we're putting our dollars. Now I'm going to be nice because I can't call them out.
No, but this is what I'm going to say to you. We, in 2019, Dorma, Steve, and Laura, we were all a part of Soul Day. We created in one day, and it took us about how many months to put this thing on together? About 2 months. And we had a couple thousand people on a Friday. We had music, we had food.
Y'all didn't invite me.
It was more than that, because that was about how many stayed. Remember, we had people coming and going all day. And even when we were packing up, people were still coming.
Will we be lifted? Will we be able to gather outside this year? This summer?
Yes.
That's the plan.
But they said that about 100 million, Joe Biden wanted to get 100 million people vaccinated by April.
I think I think the program, the way it was laid out, would still be social distance, and it would not be a hindrance because it's not indoors. People could still mask up and still do the celebratory thing. I think it would be.
We were social distancing even when it wasn't required that day, because
that is right, Dorma. Dorma, you're right.
They weren't it was hot, so people didn't want to sit all up on each other.
That's right.
So we were social distancing without the requirement of social distancing, because we were all there to have a good time and to support Courageous and support Detroit. And that is what we did. And we can do that again, and we can do it continually. We may have to make adjustments. We may have it at Courageous in lieu of Virginia Park, but we can still do it.
Right.
But I would like to take it to Northwestern, because you got that big space out there.
Yes.
What happened? We're gonna pull it off. We'll pull it off.
We're gonna pull it off.
An international draw. I believe it will happen. I totally believe it's gonna happen. And people, Keith, at this point, people are sick and tired of being shuttered in. They are ready for something.
Yes, yes.
So we're right now putting the music together, and we're gonna bring one of the Gap band or somebody in, but we're gonna do some stuff, okay? And so I want to get a planning team together, and start planning this out. Gerald is already planning out the sports for Courageous Games, Thomas Welcher and all of them. So I need help with me and Kim. Kim is going to be, she's going to promote what we're doing.
Put me down for my 10 tables. Yeah.
Yes. But Laura, but Laura, we're going to make, this is going to be economics. We're going to get some big time sponsors, but think about this. If we do this right and we market it right, we could be the talk of the town for the next 5 years.
Yeah, right. See, I'm planning to bring people from Flint, from Pontiac, from Lansing to Detroit. We're gonna show them Detroit style, how we get things done. I think that's necessary.
And part of getting things done in Detroit is, as you just said, bringing people from Flint, welcoming other people into our house, because they are going to spend dollars in our house.
That's what we need. We need
so
that encouragement.
Dorma, your job is to just put together a better book. Let's put together a better book. Let's start going after ads now. And we're going to talk about remuneration. We're going to talk about all that stuff. But we need to start planning. Planning. Then we're going to do Juneteenth at the building. About 200 people, social distance, have a nice Juneteenth affair. Music and stuff.
Let's say that we may have 200 people staying, but let's be prepared and expect more, because there may be some people who may drive by and drop off some money, who may drive by and drop off a food box or something. Yes, let's be organized, but let's be open. We may be able to be a site for vaccines, because they won't all be done by then.
Yes, now that's a good point. That's a good point. Anybody want to get a vaccination shot? That's why I say
on the corner, not at the building, but on the corner, where they drive by and get it, or somewhere maybe the next block over, like they're doing at TCF downtown now. You drive through and get it.
Drive-through shots, yes, absolutely.
And we're not going to charge you, but let their donation be something for a child, a book, a can of food, something, if they can, okay? And then they're putting something into Courageous, and when they pull up, not only do they get their shot, they get a book or they get something about Courageous to know what Detroit is doing and what the Courageous 2021 family is looking like. Sorry, y'all.
No, you did it.
And let's not repeat. I've been doing research. Laura, they made a mistake. They taught me how to read. I've been doing research, and Juneteenth is more than one event. Juneteenth is also the day of the Tulsa misfortune, the Tulsa massacre, okay? And one of the things that happened after that, one of the reasons that they had such a hard time rebuilding, the reason they haven't, in addition to all of the political things, is because when they opened up for integration, then the African Americans went to the other communities to spend their money. So we have to educate our attendees. Hey, look, you've got a consulting service here, and this is where you spend your money. You've got, as Linda Allen said, let's compile a list of Black beauty supply stores. There are some Black-owned beauty supply stores in the Detroit area. Let's compile a list of them. There are some Black-owned nail salons. Let's compile a list of them.
Let's get them on the show.
Get them on the show. And when they come to Courageous, in that book, no, they're not going to get an ad, but in that book, they can get their name, address, phone number. Okay, you live on the east side, this is where you go and get your nails done. You live on the west side, you live in Flint, this is where you go to get your hair done.
Hold your thought for a minute. It's time for a station ID. We're going to do a real quick station ID and we'll be right back.
Yes. Yes. Okay, Steve, that's all right. I'm
And I was gonna say, Dorma, and that's good for people who say, I don't know where to go.
Yeah, exactly. This is where you go.
Dorma, Dorma.
Yeah.
That's called Soul Day Digest.
Oh, yes.
Let's put it together now. We're gonna explore our opportunities now, okay?
Exactly.
We're doing a station break.
And since we are not, since Continental, if they're not going to do food, maybe they can sponsor the book.
Flip the script on the same dial. It's WCHB AM 1340, Royal Oak, Detroit. Streaming online at WCHB1340.com. The voice of the church.
How's everybody today?
Good evening.
Years ago, when I used to travel a lot, a friend of mine and we thought about having an updated version of the Green Book, because sometimes when you're on the road,
you need to be safe
to go. If you're in a strange city, you don't know where to go.
Yeah.
And right now, we don't know where to go when we're home.
I'm gonna tell you,
many of us do not.
It made me feel like I was in the Twilight Zone. I would have really liked to have had a Green Book, because oh my.
Yes.
Or there are always restaurants opening in Pontiac and Flint and even Saginaw, and I have.
Y'all want me to sing?
Trying to get home.
Hey, I see y'all think.
Anyway.
No, because I love you all. I'm not going to sing.
I don't love y'all that much. I might get excited. And you know what?
What is he doing? Hey, Laura, what is he doing?
I'm bringing it back. Somebody needed that song. Everything.
Oh, yes. Can you imagine what the temperature was in there? Because she didn't allow air conditioning. And with that choir and the robes and all of them singing.
I've been in Baker's when she didn't allow air conditioning, and it was raining.
Yes.
And it was hot. It was July.
And she's serious.
Are we back?
Yeah, we are.
Are we back?
Yes, we are.
We're back.
So we're back. We have Robbya, and we got the rest of the clan. This is the Courageous Family Hour now.
Yes, it is.
So we were talking earlier. The question is, do Black folks have any more fight left in them? We got some challenges. So as Martin Luther King said, we have some difficult days ahead. It doesn't matter to me now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we got some difficult days. How do we bring our family back?
Can we rephrase that?
I asked the question on Facebook the other day. What version of family that you would want to be a part of? The old, how the family was configured back then, or now? So let's talk about it.
It's got to be one or the other. Dorma, you wanted to refashion that. Go ahead.
Yes, instead of because when you say do you or can you or do we, you're allowing room for no. So let's not say, do we, as Blacks, do we have any fight left? Let's say, let's bring our fight out. Because even if you just have a half a teaspoon left, that's still some fight. So let's say, let's bring it out and let's build on that. And we can't go back to the way that it was, but we need some of the principles of both. Just like whoever it was that said it, when have we ever not used and loved and applied Malcolm and Mark? You always had them both.
But Dorma, can I say something?
Yeah.
I yearn for the day Mr. Frederick Williams come home, get his dinner, he watch TV, the family sits around the father, and then he goes to sleep and go through the same routine. Then on Fridays, you knew when your father when prosperity was coming, that's the day he got his check. And then the next day, we know we was going to the grocery store, okay?
Yes.
And I knew my father needed a relief. He got him a taste, okay?
Yes.
So then on Sunday, they went into the church. Then you heard Rita Franklin. You had David Ellis and all the great preachers.
You had C.L. Franklin.
Yes. So I yearn for those days when you learn the rudimentary things of education, when you did calisthenics in the gym, when you talk to your counselor about your future. I yearn for those days.
When you address your elders as such, I yearn for those days.
But and since we don't have those, let's teach those coming behind us what that is. There are some of the young people who just don't know. So Keith, it's up to you to teach the young men how to be men. It's up to Linda and Robbya and Dorma and Laura to teach the women how to be women, if they let us. You know, it's a different culture now. You say the wrong thing to the wrong person, you get shot.
You might have some feedback, but let me ask Dr. Robbya Green-Weir up here, because she won't be with us anymore. Her school semester is back in session.
My apologies, doctor.
We got this Ph.D. and Keith asked the question, does the Black race have any fight left? You're sitting in a Black historically designated school. Tell us what the fight is. Are we tapped out, Robbya? Where we at?
Not according to the youth at FAMU, and I'm sure other HBCUs, because COVID or not, they got COVID. COVID did not prevent them from protesting in Tallahassee regarding George Floyd. COVID did not prevent. They were instrumental in getting a Black Lives Matter painted on the street. They are very politically conscious. They have political forums. They, and I'm sure that's common in an HBCU. I remember when my son went to Tennessee State University, he came back such a militant. Black, right? So I think, the HBCU, they teach, they show Black pride, they teach Black pride, they teach, I just think how they nurture that Black product when they graduate is different than a PWI. And I've taught at both, the PWI and a HBCU. And so they seem unabashed and unafraid at FAMU. They are not shy.
So Keith, I understand your yearning, but let me explain what I feel is really what we're seeing. There are fewer days in front of you than you've had behind you, but your glory days are still yet here. I need you to remember, to educate, to pass forward. We ain't gonna have days of old. Days of old don't come back because we got new blood, new systems, new issues, new challenges, new technology. The family divide is different. Like you said, it was your daddy and your mama in the neighborhood. You knew who lived, who your neighbors were. People are transient. We're not going to change what is now the norm or the standard or the future. But we need to be able to catalog it, enjoy it, and care and keep it moving.
But Laura, I still yearn
Me too.
For that day when we, like I said something on 2 days ago on a Zoom call, like you got Dexter, all that land. Why can't we build a new family environment, new housing, 21st century housing, 21st century school? But the most important thing that we can't run from is God's purpose. Man and wife, raising kids, bringing kids into the world, nurturing them so they can be the next infrastructure for our generation to come. And so we can't, there's some fundamental things we can't run from.
We got to hold them dear, and we have to educate, like Dorma said, like Robbie was talking about, like Linda would tell you, we got to hold them to our chest, and we have to make sure that we have an opportunity to do, we have the Bible, right? What did you tell us the Bible stands for, Keith?
Basic instructions before leaving earth.
What instructions do your Black families have other than the Bible? What do we get to how do we roll it out? Most people.
How do you roll it out?
How do you roll out the stuff that you're talking about? You got to be taught that. That's taught in a family dynamic.
Yeah, but see, Laura, something went wrong. We brought into that liberal discussion. Everything, live free and happy. But the bottom line, you got to have some disciplines in this process. When I was in high school, you didn't see girls walking around pregnant.
Well, let me, this was part of my dissertation. This was part of my dissertation. So when you think about, there's the history of character education, right? It started with, obviously, in the home, in the church, right? And not just Black people, you know, because Catholicism, Judaism, right? That was still very strong. So then you go along in time, and Bible was, you know, they didn't want to mix church and state. Then you keep going along the timeline, and then you had, after church and state, you had people who were, you know, told that certain like behavioral things you shouldn't teach. It's about individualism. So there was a period of time for individualism. Then you have Ronald Reagan, who wanted to put character education back in school. He actually funded it. And so that's when you got some organizations rising up. Then you had President Clinton. He too wanted character education. And so that he also provided funding. Then it fell off. And then you have the influx of, you know, technology and social media and all of that, right? So while we may all yearn for the days of old, history has not allowed the government, and I'm not saying we need to rely on the government, so I don't want to go off on that tangent, but if it's not in the home,
it doesn't happen.
Then it doesn't happen because it's not funded in pre-K 12. Okay, so then we get to higher ed. We get to higher ed. That focus, that funding focus is on STEM, not soft skills or character.
But Robbya, we didn't need funding or grant to target a grant to raise a family.
I agree, but when you look at the destruction of the family coupled with, and I'm not knocking teen pregnancies, but the destruction of the family coupled with teen pregnancies, coupled with you can't mix church and state, coupled with we're not going to give you funding for that, coupled with home, so funding goes, so guess what? Funding also goes away for SHOP. Funding also goes away for home ec. Now what do we have? Funding is scarce for sports. Funding is scarce for the arts, right? So when you have the destruction of the family, the Black family, and you have other external forces that go against the Black family values, this is what we get. Like they talking about the chickens have come home to roost with all this mess with Trump. Well, the chickens have come home to roost with all this no church and state. You need to focus on individualism. You need to help children understand who they are. This rooster has come home. That's what it looks like today.
We didn't got co-opted by Western civilization priorities.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Black folks always was about family. Black folks was always about taking care of each other.
I will say this. Sure. The Constitution of the family, and you talk about the difference was back in the day, a teenager got pregnant, a couple of things happened. She got married.
That's right, whether she wanted to or not.
Whether she wanted to or not, or whether he wanted to or not, somebody was getting married.
You playing the play box, that's what's gonna happen. That's right.
Or all of a sudden people had nieces and nephews, the baby was still raised in the family.
In the family.
Necessarily by their biological mother. Folks always got pregnant. Let us get off that one. It happened. Okay, I know people. You know, and it was kind of like one day they were there, or
they gone. Yeah.
And Keith, you probably know some because you grew up in the same neighborhood near I did. Some young lady suddenly disappeared. She went down south for the
South
summer.
with a broke leg.
Yeah, she went down south for the summer.
And sometimes they didn't ever come back.
Some never came
Wherever
back,
she
but
went,
sometimes
she
they
went
did
to
come back,
school or
and they went to
somebody.
a different school. But the
And they
child was
was
still
your
in
auntie. That was
the
your
family.
auntie or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So we took care of it within the structure of the existing family.
That's true.
What happened,
I believe, from my advanced age, is we threw the baby out with the bath water. Okay. We defunded schools, but we also lost those things that we had that were the undergird. Like, I may not have prayed in school, but in my neighborhood, everything you did was around somebody's church.
That's right. You walked to church.
Now, notice I said somebody's church, not necessarily the one you went to on Sunday. I lived in a neighborhood where St. Stephen's had the roller skating rink.
Vacation Bible.
Hartford had the Boy Scouts. Tabernacle had the Girl Scouts. St. Cyprian had the parties. Your whole life could be up and down within 2 blocks of Milford.
Wow. Check that out.
Okay. Because everybody could walk. As we began to move out, those places weren't available for us to easily access them.
You know,
DPS used to even have coordination with Detroit Parks and Rec. So if you didn't live,
I was just about to say that. I was just
the
about
recreation center would have after school classes at your school.
We had mobile books. You guys remember
right? They don't even have, you know, now at 3:30, some of the teachers are beating the kids
out the class,
their cars. School used to be open until at least 5 or 6. School because there were activities at the school.
So in this demise,
part of the community.
In this demise, in this structural failure, because it's really a failure. It's a system failure. It's a system failure because all the village implements have all seemed to have just fallen away. The table needs legs. The table needs to be fortified. It needs legs. If you have no sports, you have no arts and crafts, you have no social skills, you have no soft skills, no home economics. You're taking all these things away, and we're talking about raising independent people. What do we expect?
There are students, unfortunately, in high school that don't even know how to write a letter, how to write a check, just some basic life skills.
And I get basic. They cannot sew a button on a
basic life skills.
They can't sign their names because everything is electronic. So they never have to
and you have to tell that they don't do signatures. You know, we're taking cursive.
But let me say this to you. About 2 summers ago, we always go to a public housing. We have a camp. And I saw this for myself. One day I walked up and one of my sponsors, Continental Food, made all their about 100 employees come assist with us in our camp. So one day, this white girl was doing arts and crafts with these about 4 or 5 young African American girls, and what wind up happening, the black girl started braiding the white girl's hair.
Wow.
And guess what happened? She said, "Can I go home with you?" Because the white girl was showing her those 4 girls love. They was being attentive to them.
Hungry for affection.
Hungry for affection. So I surmise they weren't getting that from their household.
That's
right. That might be very true.
and the infrastructure around that public housing mentality.
Jesus. What I can feel that. I can see that happening. I've seen those kids that gravitate to you. And can I please come to your house? I know exactly what you're talking about. And it's such a heartbreaking reality that we need to put some resources on that. But I'm gonna tell you this.
Well,
go ahead, Robbya.
Speaking of resources, so because a lot of things are no longer available that would be free in the public schools, right? Home ec,
because they've been defunded.
Right. So that puts a lot of, that puts pressure on the family to try and find that for their child or children. And when they find it, it's at a cost. And families may not have that kind of money. I was fortunate enough to be able to provide that for my children. But what if I didn't have the means? So my kids are out, right?
Yeah.
So, well, that's even happening with sports now, because there are districts where you have to pay to play.
Yeah.
And a lot of young people, because, one thing I found out when I was teaching, because of where I taught, is a lot of things are socioeconomic as much as they are racial. And that my kids, if you can imagine 10 young women in a Dodge Dart. Well, 10 young women in a Dodge Dart, because I would have them to my apartment for a pizza party. I'm going to tell you this, and this was many years ago, so that they could see you could be a single woman with an apartment by yourself.
Yeah.
That's not paid by the government, paid for by the government.
And I tell them, I'm not
the lady of the night.
Wait a minute, that's why Tina got in my Dodge Dart. But look at this. I have a 2-bedroom apartment for just me.
Right.
With a dishwasher.
That I pay for.
And we're eating pizza.
And you can have it too.
Right. If you don't get pregnant before you get out of junior high school. Okay.
Keith, I asked some time ago, the same group of people on the call, we will, in 7 days from today, exactly 1 week, we will all witness the installation of number 46, Joe Biden, and the first mixed minority, Kamala Harris, as Vice President of the United States of America. We expect a lot. Not that we believe that government will come to our rescue and our aid and eradicate every barrier and problem. But I petition those of you who are able to hear me, including you all on this call, we need to write our own agenda. So to that point, I wrote an actual 3-year operating agenda for the micro business development. And I am looking for power brokers, stakeholders, capacity builders who can position this. It's $1,700,888 for us to actually empower 30 small businesses in 7 unique markets, not Detroit, but Flint, Houston, St. Louis, Baltimore, Atlanta, Toledo. 6 unique markets where we can empower them. And here's what we want. We want to forge a relationship between community banks and micro businesses, because all the stimulus money that came out never made it to the people who really probably needed it the most.
It did not.
It never made it, although it opened up yesterday or Monday, and it was for the underserved. You have to have a banking relationship to access the PPP money. You can't even get it without a banking relationship. So if you're still doing business on your personal bank account, you don't even have access to this. It's not designed for you.
And how do you define a business relationship? See, I think that's what people don't understand.
Which is why I want this agenda. I have written it out. It's at 40 pages. I don't want to make it any bigger than that. I'm trying to design it to a 1-page slick so I can do some infographics, Robbya. Because I need to get to the right stakeholders, impact partners, capacity builders who want to see something. And I didn't write this in theory. I'm a practitioner. I practice this on a regular basis. and I know what is necessary.
Well, get it down for February 20th.
I have it, it's ready, but I want to put this in front of not the SBA, because you guys on the call have had some dealings with SBA. SBA is not really the agency for a micro business enterprise.
No, they're not. That's not
their bailiwick. That's not their area.
That's not what they're good at. That's not going to be their core. That's not going to be their party.
But in my community, that's who we have. The micro businesses, not the people with 10 employees and 3 million in revenue with government contracts. We're looking at the singlepreneur. We're looking at the solo operator. It might be a team of 1 or 2. My plan says that in 3 years, they will have the capacity to hire. They will have corporate structures in place and have trade line credit. They will have what they need in order to be sustainable and to move from being a micro enterprise, if they desire, to something more sustainable.
But at least have the option.
They will have the option. And we are being intentional about how we lay that out. I think I need more people at the table. I'm gonna put my proposal in Keith's hand, and I'm gonna make him open up his Rolodex and roll it up and through and to whomever. But if you hear me and you understand what it is I'm talking about, I didn't say that we can help 3,000 people. I said 30 people, 30 independent businesses, 30 with technical assistance, seed capital with a loan reserve sitting on the side for those banks that choose to participate with them. You give them an instrument, they fail you, we pay you back. You didn't lose nothing. We want to help them help themselves, help our economy do what it's supposed to do. But people need to learn how to practice with money, just like they needed to learn how to make a lemon meringue. I learned how to make a lemon meringue in home ec. Nobody gave me a box and told me to do it. We have to practice the use of money. We need to understand that. It doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
Keith's family learned how to do it because you know what? My paycheck came when Uncle Sam took his piece out of it. They gave me the rest of it. I got these ends. I know exactly. Somebody took a paper to ink pen and paper and wrote out what their obligations were and paid those bills and knew exactly what was left over. Now, when people can do everything on an Apple Pay and on a card and you bounced everything and you don't know it because you're not looking at it, there's a reason for it. You must learn the movement.
You know, there's a
learn the language of money.
There's a need for a different kind of financial literacy.
Absolutely, and that way
I wrote down in my book. I have to call you when this is over.
But at the final analysis, I'm just concerned about the family. I'm concerned about the black male. The black male has been isolated to a bench setting and things like that. And so my concern is how do we reinvigorate the family so we can have peace in our communities where the man is not missing, the man is doing his part, and the woman is doing their part, and we as a team making our families the great institution it once was.
Let them get to HBCU. I think that may help them. But what we need are more we need more bulls in the China shop like you, Keith. I've always been the person against the bull in the China shop, but never more than ever did we need that bull in the China shop like we need you now. Your pride is what's on got it 2 minutes. Your pride is what you wear, and you must show other people how to wear it. But you got to be proud of something, not because you rolled and got out of bed and just showed up. Your journey has to be worthy of your acknowledgement. Ain't nobody finna praise you just because you put your pants on like everybody else. But it's about the impact. It's about what you bring to the table. Our Black men need to understand their worth. They are still the top of the food chain. I don't care.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Food chain. When we see you, we see excellence. But you gotta work it. It doesn't happen because you were just born. You've got to work that. You got to work up to it. It is absolutely necessary. I've got 30 seconds. Go ahead and wrap us up. It's time for us to end this segment. They finna kick us off.
So next week, somebody come up with a topic.
I've got the state senator, Sylvia Santana. She was harassed over at the Capitol in Michigan today. She's going to be our guest next week to talk about the real tension while they're trying to legislate. So close us out, Keith.
God be the glory. I'm just concerned about the family and concerned about the blackmail, but I'm also concerned about us coming together as one. God bless everybody and have a wonderful Wednesday.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.